this Freaknik topic. How many people have heard? Hold on, I turned the little share screen off. Hold on, y'all. Where is it at? There it is. This Freaknik topic. Now, how many people in here have heard of Freaknik? That should be everybody. That should be a one from every person in this chat. Everybody has probably heard of it, whether you never went to it. And I'm not going to point anybody out, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of y'all in my chat have gone to it or thought about going to it, because I know some of y'all are of age to have been able to attend. Because I know Freaknik been around since the 80s, and it got shut down in like 99, if I'm not mistaken. I ain't going to point you out. Don't make your presence be known. Take it to the grave if you have to. Or can you? Because in case y'all are unaware, and by now you should, because I meant to actually talk about this last week, but I'm glad that I waited to this week to talk about it. Hulu is about to do a documentary on the 1994 Freaknik. Now, for those of you who do not know what Freaknik is, Freaknik was basically one gigantic block party with a lot of young black people who were there, who most likely, most of them attended HBCUs. So there were a lot of college age students that were there, like between the ages of like 18, 22, somewhere in that spectrum. And I'm not going to say the person's name on the stream who sent me the Cash App, because I don't want to say a government name, but their initials are JG. Y'all know who y'all are. I definitely appreciate this the Cash App. So it was basically like one big party, and it's, let's just put it this way, it's all in the name freak. If you was a freak, you most likely was there and some things popped off. I will never forget my first time actually hearing about Freaknik was on an episode, and I kid you not, Freaknik was actually featured on an episode of Sister Sister back in the day. And shout out to the auntie of the channel, Sean from the Shy, for the super chat. She says, "Good evening, nephew. You know how we do. Apologize for being tardy to the party. I definitely appreciate it. I'm glad that you actually came in at the right time, to be honest." But Freaknik was actually featured on an episode of Sister Sister back in the day. I kid you not. It was an episode where Maya had made a guest appearance. Now, I'm showing my age when I say that. That was back when Maya like first got started in the industry. But like I said, it was basically one big party. A lot of black people were there, men and women. A lot of stuff went down. And I'm going to say it like this. If you were not aware of what happened at Freaknik, this documentary that Hulu was about to do is going to unearth some things. You're talking about stuff that was on VHS tapes. You know, back then you had those camcorders that had the VHS tape in it. This is back before social media. This was back before certain websites. I'm not going to say their names, but y'all know, if you know, you know. Smartphones, all of that. They're about to put all of that into this documentary, and it's got a lot of people shook. Well, hence this article right here from newsone that says prominent black professionals sue Hulu over 94 Freaknik documentary release. Now, you want to know what's so interesting about Hulu? Who in the chat can tell me what company owns Hulu? Someone in the chat tell me what company owns Hulu. I heard of Black Bike Week, Donna. That was around when I was in college. I don't know if it's still here. Chris Vesey, Jay Bear, Dark Titan, Spidey, Chaz. No, Mr. Lone Wolf, that's incorrect. But Jay Barrett, Dark Titan, Spidey, and Chaz, and so on and so forth have it correctly. Hulu is owned by Disney. I'm going to say it again. Hulu is owned by Disney. Yes, that Disney that owns ABC, ESPN, Disney Plus, Star Wars or Lucasfilms, Marvel, that Disney, Disney World, Disneyland, here and abroad. Yes, DSM Center, we just might as well say it. The mouse owns Hulu, but I think it's part ownership. I don't think they completely own it. I think Disney co-owns it with another company. And I think someone said, I think Spidey said Comcast. Yeah, because I don't think Hulu is completely owned by Disney. I think they have shared ownership with another company, but Disney is one of those entities. I do know that. Spidey said with Comcast. So Comcast owns half and Disney owns half. Oh, Sean said they are the majority holder. Well, that would make sense because Disney's pockets are deep. The mouse has very, very deep pockets. But I just wanted to point that out there just in case people didn't know. So this says prominent Black professionals sue Hulu over the 1994 Freaknik documentary release. It says the release of Hulu's documentary about 94 Freaknik celebrating its upcoming 30th anniversary has Gen X up in arms. Many of the 90s college students are now in their 40s and 50s and in their prime of their careers. A group of prominent Black professional women plan to sue the streaming company and block the film's release. Based on concerns about what could potentially be exposed, they are filing a lawsuit in Atlanta federal court against Hulu. The women are saying it's unlawful because they did not sign media releases. Produced in part by Uncle Luke Campbell, who tweeted out the doc's announcement last week, Freaknik, The Wildest Party Never Told, will also see Jermaine Dupri play a part in production as well. The choices seem fitting given the link that both artists had in cultivating the ATL party scene during the early to mid 90s. Geraldine L. Perez will serve as showrunner and executive producer along P. Frank Williams, in addition to Mass Appeal execs Peter Bittenbender and Melissa Cooper. Eric Tomasunis for Swirl Films, Terry Ross, Alex Avant, Nikki Biles, and Jay Allen. While some cast members of the RSMS agree with their defense and believe it may hold weight in court, Special K and DeBrat believe that fair use will come into play due to it being independent footage of the mass public. This group of women comprised of one politician, 3 high-level corporate executives, and 1 judge. According to Media Takeout, one of the C-suite executives stated that there are already videos circulating online that show her in an quote-unquote unflattering light. I think I actually saw that video. She is married with 3 children, earns north of $1 million annually in her position, and is hoping to block the official debut. The women plan to remain anonymous. More details of the case continue to develop. The Freaknik documentary is set to hit Hulu in 2024 with a possible mid-April release. Next April will be the 40th anniversary of the famed 1994 Freaknik celebration. So now you can see why they're doing it, because they're worried that that's going to affect their jobs. So yeah, this is going to be one hell of a fight. So it's at the point where whether it's going to be shown or if it is not. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that they're going to be successful with not having this documentary released. Put a 2 in the chat if you think they're not going to be successful and they're going to release this for mass consumption. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. From the time they announced this, I saw a lot of people say that they can't wait to see what this is going to be all about. They said they can't wait to see people's mothers, fathers, cousins, aunties, uncles, so on and so forth. I've seen a lot of people say that they can't wait to see what this is going to unveil. So I'm seeing a mixture in the chat, but I'm seeing more 2s than 1s. A lot of y'all think they're going to release this. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they are too. I truly believe that they are. It's probably going to be a lot of careers in jeopardy. And shout out to AB Promotion again for the $1.99 super chat. He said people are getting divorced and fired. It's probably going to be some more stuff that's going to come from that as well. As a matter of fact, there was this man who was a cop. Well, he was a cop. A couple years ago, he ended up getting fired as a cop. I think it was back in 2020 because some picture that he took at Freaknik where he was doing a particular spread. Hopefully y'all can read between the lines. with this woman got posted online, and his face was looking right into the camera with his glasses on, and they knew it was him, and he was in his uniform, and he got fired. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of interesting things that are gonna come from this. I'm gonna tell you something right now. Hulu is about to have one of their record-breaking month come April of next year if they release this thing. Their subscription numbers are going to be through the roof. If people didn't have Hulu before, they're gonna get it now. Or get it next year. They might keep it for 1 month just so they can watch this. And then once that month is over, once they're done watching, they're gonna probably cancel their subscription. Jay Barrett said, I don't think it's gonna be as bad as they're making it. I don't know. When you see what I have to show in the next clip, which is why I couldn't wait to talk about this. And I have to give a shout out to Just Talking with TD and Rob. If you don't know, that's Blacklight Revelations 2 and TD Hip Hop Media, their joint channel that they have together, that they do a weekly, I guess you can say, online podcasting type of thing on YouTube on their channel on Thursdays. And the reason why I brought that up, and I'm so glad I waited to talk about this Freaknik thing this week, especially after seeing this video, is because we have to talk about the off-codeness of this dude right here, Marc Lamont Hill. I want y'all to listen to what this fool has to say about this Freaknik documentary that they plan to release on Hulu, and why many people probably should be worried. And when I say many people, I'm talking about Black men in particular.
A lot of noise is being made about this Freaknik documentary. A whole bunch of people talking about whose names and faces and voices and bodies are going to show up on this video from the 90s. And most of the conversation is about whether or not women will be exposed on this documentary, whether people's mamas and girlfriends and wives and daughters are going to show up in a Freaknik documentary. And I hear you. But that's the wrong issue. Look, I was outside in the 90s. I've been to Freaknik as an aspiring young journalist covering the story, of course. And when I was there, I saw what was happening. It's not just about women being half naked. It's not about women's hypersexuality. No, Freaknik is about men ogling, men fondling. Freaknik had a lot to do with male hypermasculinity and sexual violence. Freaknik is a rape fest. It is a sexual assault fest. That's not the only thing going on out there. I'm not trying to demonize or pathologize Black people, but if we're talking about the worst parts of Freaknik, it wasn't about the actions of women. It was about the disgusting actions of us men. And so when you watch Freaknik, you don't need to be worried about mama, daughter, sister, girlfriend. You need to be worried about brother, son, husband, or yourself, and whether or not you were engaged in some of the worst parts of patriarchal culture, whether you were part of the worst parts of rape culture and misogyny and sexual violence. When we talk about Freaknik, and the way we talk about Freaknik, it's a representation of all the problems we have in a society that always blames women for the actions of men. So don't check the women, check yourself.
So y'all heard that. Y'all heard all of that. I don't think I have to go back and dissect what he said. He said, and I'm not even going to censor myself because he said it already. He said Freaknik was a rape fest. That's what he called it. Now I need to ask this is why I want to know, from people who were there. Would that be an accurate description? Because I don't think that would be an accurate description. Now, peep how he said that he went to Freaknik as a quote unquote aspiring young journalist. Marc, you went there because you was trying to get it in too. You was down there with the same motives that everybody else who was down there went there for. Stop the cap. And look at what he turned it into. An anti-Black man propaganda, an anti-Black man narrative. That's what he turned it into. He said, we shouldn't be talking about what the women and, what they did down there. Let's talk about these hypersexual, rapey Black men. listen, and I always tell y'all, listen to tone, listen to tone. Always listen to how people sound when they say something that they don't like. Keep in mind, this is the same man that sat across from Candace Owens, of all people, and told her to her face and to the audience watching that trans women can get pregnant. Has nothing to do with the discussion, but I figure I bring it up. But the reason why he's also saying this, because keep in mind, they haven't started, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think they've started production on this yet. It's just been announced for a April 2024 release. He's putting this out there so the people who are making this documentary can go in search of what he's putting out there to put into the documentary. He's literally giving them little breadcrumbs, like a little trail. It's saying, hey, psst, put that in there. If you want your ratings to soar, put that in there. If you want to keep pushing the demonization of black men, put that in there. That's why I can't wait for Marc Lamont Hill to get his wake-up call. Well, Marc, since you say you was there at Freaknik, when they do release the documentary, there better be some footage of you in there, and you better have your little pen and pad, being the little journalist that you were back then. That means you better not have been engaging in no type of extracurricular activities. Because, if you do, we are going to put your ass on the slab for a long time. I hope there is some footage of him in there doing some unjournalistic things. His pen better be on a pad instead of in something else, if you get my drift. And by the way, since they want to make a documentary about Freaknik, I think they should make one about, say, I don't know, Girls Gone Wild. Who remembers those Girls Gone Wild infomercials back in the day? Used to come on late at night, early in the morning. Sometimes you would wake up and them things would be popping up, and then the next thing that would come on would be some kind of a cartoon. Imagine you on a channel where cartoons come on, and they have an infomercial for Girls Gone Wild where you have a bunch of white girls lifting their shirts up and shaking their titties. I wonder if they're going to make one about that. And that was a whole infomercial that advertised for selling of a DVD of white women showing their breast. You can't tell me some stuff didn't go down with that either. Because Girls Gone Wild was coming off of the cusp of Freaknik coming to a close. Because I think Freaknik was around ended like in 99. I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong. And Girls Gone Wild started in the early 2000s. I remember it because those infomercials used to come on when I was in middle school. And I was in middle school from 2000 to 2003. And I think even after I was in middle school and going into high school, those infomercials were still on. And if they was to do something like that, I wonder if Marc Lamont Hill would come on here the way that he just did and say the same thing to white men that he just went on this whole minstrel rant and said towards black men. Since he wants to be Mr. Holier Than Thou. But yeah, this guy, I just had to bring that up. And that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about this Freaknik, because I had this video right here that y'all just saw, like in the background. Some of y'all didn't even see this, but I just wanted y'all to know that what he said was a dog whistle. It was a dog whistle to the producers and the makers of this documentary to put and show Black men in a certain light.